Has it started? Or is it just glitchy on me? I don't even know. Seriously. Oh, wait. Is it? Okay. Oh. Well, you can definitely hear that. I don't want to test my luck. I'm gonna wait a minute. I'm gonna wait a little bit before doing anything. Get it out of me. Are we good? We haven't quite made it to the first minute mark. And it looks like we're on. Looks like we're working. Alright. Hasn't quite made it to the minute mark, but yeah, we're there. Yep, there we go. Minute. I'll go to my book in a minute. I've now hey, hi features. Who does a feature? I know exactly what a feature is. Alright, now you spell. Oh boy. I can add a few more. Spell did this and more. Oh, don't fall asleep, please. Last thing I want you to do is to go bye-bye. Okay. That it? We're good? We're great. So far, so good? We're on the second mark. I mean, that's 2 minute mark. So I'm assuming you're good. And should be great. Alright, let's keep going. To be honest, I could leave this open to this, even though it doesn't need to be. Good. Alright, we can move up. Oh, no. 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 Are we good? Please tell me we're good. Okay. Oh, gosh, how did that happen? No! No, I had my hopes up. No. Are we live? Are we not? Are we live? Are we... Please. Oh, gosh, what is going on? What is Omelette doing? I'm sorry, I'm just panicking. Breathe. Are we good? Are we good? I think we're good. I'm scared though. Please. Are we good? Okay. Breathe. Are we on the right thing? Yeah. And sacrifice straight. I did a little bit of editing and all that stuff. Reading through, making sure everything was good. Because, the less mistakes I make, the better things will be. Chapter 2 is right here. I could do it on page, I probably should. I don't know what that was. I don't know how many chapters I'm gonna read. Okay, about to see. Chapter 2 is on page 12. Yes it is. Yeah. That's cold ice water. Let's do this. It's like, move. I can move it without a problem. And I'll unplug this because I don't need to worry about it. I waited a few hours to see if Stampy would be alive. As far as I'm aware, probably not. But if he is, then I'll have to end the stream on the chapter I'm working on doing, or just continue. I don't know. But yeah. We'll see. We'll see. But first, let's read chapter 2. If you haven't read chapter 1 yet, it's in my videos. It's in the playlist that you can easily find that this will be in once this is done. As they always are, in the proper playlist. Yeah. So I gotta put each book in their separate playlist so it won't get too confusing. Yeah. Let's get to it. Since I'm bored and I want to do something, and reading this sounds like something. So, I'm rambling. The next morning arrived, sooner than the cat had expected. One moment he had closed his eyes as the last rays of sunlight disappeared from the horizon, and opening his eyes a moment later to a new morning, to a brand new day. The cat climbed out of bed, feeling refreshed and ready for the day ahead. He stretched for a moment before heading out onto his balcony to welcome another beautiful sunny day in the lovely world that he called home. It was where he could feel happy and safe, free to express himself without the concern of Mr. A, or even Gerald, stepping in to ruin everything. His target was one thing, a villain he could handle and understand somewhat, but those men were nothing like his nemesis. In fact, he could go as far as to say that they were far worse. An enemy to be reckoned with. An enemy who knew how to get close to their victims at a personal level. It's pretty terrifying if the cat was honest about it, but he knew they couldn't hurt him anymore. He had friends surrounding him that would make sure of that. Stampy stood on the edge of his balcony, which was blocked off by fences to prevent anyone from simply falling off. He leaned against the poles as he stared out into the world that he knew so well, a perfect place in its own right, untainted by the worlds beyond it. And yet still, the cat couldn't help but feel grateful for all the work he and his friends, both old and new, had done to make this wonderful world possible. And he wasn't going to let someone like Mr. A come in and ruin it. This was his world, that belonged to everyone. Mr. A didn't belong in this world. He had no right to threaten him, and the cat had done nothing against him. His target was one thing, not Mr. A. Those men didn't have a right to be in this world. He deserved to be free and happy, not trapped by the men who wanted to see him gone. He couldn't stand for that, but what could he do? The cat let out a long sigh as he tried not to think of the men who were determined to be rid of him. He had proven to be stronger than they had at first thought. He had overcome their attempts to kill him, rescued by friends who would risk everything for him. It proved the man wrong about so many things, and he enjoyed doing just that. That man couldn't hurt him unless he let it happen. But as he thought about that, he couldn't help but remember what those men had done to him, what they had said to him to try and crush him, destroy him, to make him feel weak, vulnerable, to feel fear he never wanted to feel again, the pain that he'd been forced to suffer by, the torture of Mr. A had ensured. The man had failed to kill him twice. The man had failed to kill him twice. The cat had been saved by his friends from that man both times. What did that mean for him? He really didn't want to know. The cat shuddered as he tried to push the painful memories out of his mind. He couldn't hurt him anymore. He had overcome them weeks ago because he knew that he had friends he could count on. friend he could trust. The cat remembered that with a sincere smile, knowing it was true. He'd come through quite a bit to get here, yet there he was. Once again surviving Mysterious wrath. Had to be worth this small victory, yet couldn't help but wonder, what would become of him now? Question. What would they do if the men did come after him again? Would they be ready if that day ever arrived? Surely hope so. Certainly hope so. Sorry. His thoughts were interrupted when he heard the door to his bedroom open as he turned to see the boy walking into the room. The cat smiled and greeted him cheerfully. Oh, good morning to you, Sam, the cat said. The boy nodded and smiled. Morning to you, Stampy. To you too, Stampy. Did you sleep well last night? In a matter of fact, I did, the cat said happily. How about you? Pretty good, the boy said with a smile. The cat returned it before looking around the room. Where is everyone else? I thought they'd be here to join us. They're at the building waiting for us, the boy replied. So I guess we don't want to keep them waiting. No, I suppose we don't, the cat laughed. He went over to the cake that was sitting on the table, looking just as fresh and delicious as when he had made it. How about I have my breakfast first before heading out? Sounds good to me, the boy said with a nod, encouraging his friend to go ahead. Not that the cat needed it. Stubby smiled and turned toward the cake, eating it bit by bit, enjoying every single bite. Like a perfect moment that would be engraved into his memories. It was delicious and sweet. A perfect way to start the day. When he was done, the cat stepped back and looked over at the boy, who nodded, giving the cue that they should go. The cat appreciated just how patient the boy was being, something he knew he shouldn't take for granted. The cat followed the boy out of the bedroom and out of the house. Blah. And the cat looked behind him as he saw Barnaby following not too far behind at his master's heels. I should probably take a talk with me today. I totally forgot to do that yesterday, the cat said simply. Is it all right if we stop by the doghouse to pick up a dog? Of course, the boy said with a smile. It's your world after all. The cat chuckled and nodded as they walked over to the doghouse. The cat watched as Barnaby went over to sit next to Luna and Flippy, who were both sitting by the corner. The cat looked around the room, counting all the dogs. Then he quickly picked one of them before turning to exit the doghouse with a patient boy. The cat smiled at him apologetically as they walked toward the building, and they were planning to finish today. It didn't take long for the two of them to get where they were headed, building today. Sure enough, everyone else was waiting for them to arrive. About time you got here, Squid said to the both of them. We almost done a search party after you because you were taking so long. Hey, we made it, didn't we? Cat said with a chuckle. I just needed to do some things first. Very well, Jimmy replied. Stop it. I can't stand when you do that. Sorry. Excuse me. Now that everyone is here, we should get going and get things done. I'm pretty sure we'll have it done in no time at all, the cat replied matter-of-factly. The others nodded as one by one they entered the building to work on the inside. But before the cat walked into the building to join them, he noticed the boy still outside. Hesitated. Do you want to join us? It should be safe enough for you, the cat said, wanting to include the boy. He hated seeing someone being left out, especially when the boy could help. No, I'm good, the boy said simply. Thanks for asking, though, the cat smiled. All right, then, see you in a bit. I think it should be safe for you. Yeah. Okay, the boy nodded as the cat walked into the building with the others. When he walked inside, he was surprised to see that everyone had already gotten started, while he had been outside with the boy. The cat took no time to quickly find something he could do as they all worked on the inside. Sure enough, they had it all finished in no time at all. Once they were done, the cat took a step back and looked at everything they had done while the others did some finishing touches. It was just like he had invented it, if not slightly better. Stop it. I'm just gonna have to keep it down this way, 'cause that's annoying. Obviously I muted it. Obviously I didn't mute it, no. Hang on. Excuse me. This is annoying. Gotta make sure I muted it. Sorry. But it is annoying. It's like every time I mute one, he makes another one. It's a constant cycle, and it's annoying. Like, yeah. So he constantly makes a new one. Excuse you. Yeah. Okay, everything should be good. Should be. Sorry. We are back to business. Seeing it all put into reality like this always made him feel happy and good about what they had made. None of this would be possible if his friends hadn't done their part in helping him, and for that he was forever grateful. So, what are we going to do now? What are we doing? Excuse me. Daddy asked the cat, catching him looking at everything in amazement. Cat shrugged. Well, we could play some games in the Funland, if you'd like. Other than that, there's not much we can do but relax. Relaxing sure does sound nice, Bush Baby admitted. But I guess it depends on what everyone else wants. Exactly. The cat replied with a nod. Oh, no one can force you to do anything if you don't want to. If you don't want to. You don't want to do. Ugh. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Can't you see I'm streaming? Well, you obviously know I'm streaming. I'm going to ignore it. Nah. Like, you said hello. You obviously aren't on the streams to know that I'm still streaming. It's annoying. I'm just a little annoyed, irritated. It'll get better as the day goes on. It'll get better. Exactly, she said with a smile. The cat returned the smile as he watched everyone else finish up what they were doing and headed over to the door. So what do you guys want to do for the rest of the day? Play games or rest? Both sound nice, Kush admitted. But games do sound like a whole lot more fun. I agree, Mark said with a nod. Can I tag along? Jimmy asked. Of course, the cat said. What about you, Gracie? What do you want to do? I don't really know, to be honest, she admitted. She looked over at the Bush Baby and asked, What are you thinking of doing, Nitty? I'll probably take time to rest and relax, the Bush Baby said. Though games do sound like fun, I'd rather do something more calmer for you. I guess we can do it together, Gracie said with a smile. Then she looked over at the cat. Is that okay with you? Definitely, Steffi nodded. So that would mean that we're splitting up a little bit. I don't want you two going back to the house or wandering the town by yourselves. You can handle it, the Bush Baby insisted. He smiled weakly. I know. I would rather know that you two aren't putting yourselves in danger. There's no telling what could be waiting for a chance to get to me or someone I care about. Then Sam can come with us, the duckling replied. You've got the guys here to keep you company. At least see if Sam's okay with doing it. Well, let's go ask him, the cat replied. The others smiled as they watched the scene. And the cat walked outside, followed by Nitty and Squishy, as well as the others right behind them. The cat found the boy standing by the build, next to one of his dogs, which made the guy smile. He's doing a lot of smiling, okay? Oh my, everybody everybody's so happy. I wonder when things are going to go so wrong. Don't ask that, Ed. Never ask that. Where? Excuse me. He knew the dogs enjoyed the boy's company as well as helping him keep an eye on things, especially when Sherbert had sensed that someone had been in trouble, which resulted in the boy finding Martin and then Ripple over to rescuing Nettie, who had been captured by Mr. A's men and imprisoned by Gerald. The cat had definitely done what he could to help her that day, even when the man still had frightened him back then. Yeah, he still had occasional nightmares of that man as well as Mr. A to this day. It wasn't as frequent now, but it was still frightening. Hey, Sam, the cat replied, waiting until the boy returned the greeting before continuing. Squid, Martin, and Jimmy were thinking about playing some games. Squishy and Eddie want to take some time to relax, but I don't want them going out alone. Do you mind going with them? No, of course I don't mind, the boy said simply. Are you sure you'll be okay, though? We'll be careful, Martin replied with a smile. Wow. We won't let anything happen to him. Yep, Squid replied in agreement. Sam shrugged. All right, then. That's an extra space. Hello. That's good, Jimmy said as he looked up at the sky. We've still got a few hours for some fun. Come on, guys. Let's not waste it. Okay. As he looked over at the 3 friends remaining. I'm going to take the dog with me in case anything happens. He'll let you know. Thanks, Jumpy. Nettie replied. Stay safe. Squishy added, a look of uncertainty in her eyes. I'll be back before you know it, the cat replied, as the others began to head off, impatient to get to the fun land and play some games. The cat didn't mind. After all, they wouldn't go far and leave him vulnerable to any threats that could possibly around. See you later, the boy said with a small wave. The cat smiled and went after the others, not looking behind him to see what the other 3 were doing. He didn't need to know. He knew that Sam would be able to handle him. It left him in room to have fun, which was something he wanted to do as much as he possibly could. The day passed relatively quickly as the 4 friends played game after game, having times of laughter and fun. It was one of the most fun he'd had for quite some time, and he would have in no other way, but as they were finishing off one of the several games, the cat realized it was getting late. The sun was starting to dip down over the horizon, and he could feel exhaustion beckoning him to his bed. We should probably be getting back, the cat said to the others. We don't want the others to worry. I'm sure we'll be fine, Jimmy said casually. Still, sooner the better, the cat replied. The others nodded as they began to head back to the town, where the cat knew would lead to his house. Even though he knew he could get there faster by using the teleporter, he was still nervous about using it after being attacked when he'd come through. There had been no attempt in hijacking it, as he'd fixed that problem, but he still didn't want to use the teleporter and risk something like that happening again. It took far longer than the cat had anticipated to get to the town, so they also had to be cautious of googlies, or monsters, that would be spawning at this time. Not that they were overly dangerous, but you should be safe and sorry. Stimpy walked with the others, noticing the well-lit areas of the town and how perfect it all looked. There was nothing out of place. It made him feel happy knowing that he was walking in the world he had helped create, a world he had dreamt up and lived in. It was far better than he could ever imagine, and not even his enemies could change that. God looked around the silent area, noticing the unease of his friends. They were alert and determined to get home safely. No doubt he felt the same way. It was far too easy for Mr. A's men to blend in and attack them, especially in their darker uniforms. He just hoped it didn't happen. After all, he was ready for just about anything, just as the others were. He could finally see the house straight ahead, a familiar sight in the heart of the town. Everything that surrounded it, as well as it could, It wasn't the best thing he had created, but there was so many memories buried inside that he wouldn't dare change a thing. And the cat smiled as they approached, walking up to the door as Squid opened it for them, watching as Martin and Jimmy walked inside. All of them were pretty exhausted after their day of fun, and the cat was more than ready to get to bed. Want me to take you to your room? The squid suggested after he closed the door behind the cat. No, I'm fine. You don't need to do that, the cat said quickly. Squid smiled. You sure? Positive, the cat replied. Good. Because I wasn't sure. The cat laughed. Good night, Squid. Night, Stumps. The YouTuber said with a small wave. Cat waved in return, climbing the stairs and walking through his house until he made it back to his bedroom, which was exactly how he had left it. The cat opened his bedroom door and walked inside, closing it behind him as he did so. The room was quiet and peaceful, except for the fact that Barnaby was quietly sitting on his dog bed, wagging its tail. He shook his head and smiled. Just because you can teleport doesn't mean you have to show it off. Yeah. The dog barked eagerly. The cat laughed. Yeah, you do know me pretty well. Debbie walked over to the chest and took out a cake and went over to put it on the table, ready and waiting for tomorrow. He knew it would be there in the morning, as it always had. Well, it usually was anyway. The cat wasn't in the mood to think about that. He was ready for another night. He pulled back the covers, touched his bed. Perfect mix of soft and fluffy, just how he liked it. It wasn't too hard either, like the car he had been strapped down the last time he'd seen Mr. A. The cat swallowed, shaking his head in his attempt to shake away the memory. He was safe. He didn't have to worry about that man. He didn't seem interested in him anyway. If he was, wouldn't he have attacked sooner rather than waiting? What exactly was he waiting for? I wasn't sure, but then you couldn't do much about it. Debbie climbed to the bed and pulled the covers over him as a warm and protective shield against the cold, dark realities of the truth he knew was lurking in the shadows. No, the men hadn't forgotten about him. He knew that. And as long as he knew that, they were still out there. They were still a threat. And when he didn't want to deal with until he had no other choice. He closed his eyes as he lay alongside. Night, Barnaby, he whispered as he slowly slipped into sleep. He didn't hear the dog's bark as he was asleep, nor the soft whine that came afterward. His mind was too focused and eager to sleep. All he knew was peace and contentment. Hello! It was something he welcomed with open arms. The horrors of what he'd suffered, just sleep. It was wonderful. Something he was content with, free of fear and despair, unafraid of what would come in his journey. Day was going on. He knew he was safe, surrounded by friends, and protected. There was nothing to fear. As the night went on, he would have no other way. Things are about to get interesting. Things are about to get interesting. Yeah. How is everyone? Just curious. Yes, we should probably keep going unless you have any questions. And yeah. Chapter 3? Chapter 3. Things are about to get interesting. Oh, I'm doing good, actually. How about you? Oh? How about you? No problem. Yeah. So I have my phone on me so I can see the messages, even though I can still... Can't you see the recording sign on the door? Thank you. Sorry, it's my roommate. Like I have a peg there where I can put a recording signing, but clearly it's not high enough. Clearly it's not high enough. Still technically have to lock the door. Like I can't. Chapter 3. A few days had passed as the routine continued. The boy wasn't at all bored by that fact. He was pretty happy to see his friend doing what made him happy and comfortable. And even if they did spice it up from time to time to throw off anyone trying to follow their routine, it was worth it. The boy stood where he normally stood, watching as his friends worked on another build, this time in the Funland. It was a relatively big project with complicated mechanics, but he knew that in the end it would be a game that they would play time and time again. It always had been. No doubt that would not change. The silence of the area did not ease the boy all that much, either. Since he could occasionally hear his friends talking from time to time, he knew they would be okay. Sam looked around the area again, making sure that he did it as often as he could, looking up at the sky, even to see if there was any sign of a black helicopter, was Mr. A's trademark, as well as a plan hidden in the blue clock and 4 tick marks. Yeah, Clockwork plan. There had been no sight of it, but that didn't mean the men weren't around. They had other ways to hide their location. Well, they'd managed to do it for months without the cat realizing it, till it was almost too late. The only reason the cat found out about them was because of the boy, and for that, the boy was glad he was able to help his friend, even back then, when he was still pretty new to everything. The boy looked down at Benton, the dog, who had joined them today. The dog wagged his tail up at the boy, and looked up at the boy. Happy to get attention. The boy smiled. Everything looking okay for you, boy? Benton barked and wagged his tail even faster. Saying that everything was fine. Unless, of course, the dog was just happy to be that he was spoken to. Was completely sure. I'll take that as a yes, the boy replied as he looked back at the area. Certainly seems odd, though, that we haven't seen anything for weeks now. There's probably nothing to worry about, though. A voice said from behind him, and the boy turned to see Martin dropping down, join him. The YouTuber smiled apologetically. Sorry, I should have warned you I was coming down. It's fine, the boy said with a shrug. I've kind of gotten used to it. The man laughed. I guess you kind of had to, being surrounded by us all the time. Oh, they're very sneaky. They want to be. Sometimes even when they don't intend to be. They're very sneaky. Yeah, you're probably right. The boy replied. They should... They stood there for a long moment before the boy asked, So, what brings you down here? Weren't you helping Stampy? I was, but I thought I'd keep you company, the YouTuber said. Besides, I need to talk to you about something. What do you mean? The boy asked, curious. Is there something wrong? No, that I know of, no, the YouTuber said quickly. It's just, my friends and I were talking, and we feel like it's time for us to go home. It seems like everything here is taken care of. There's no threat or danger. Besides, we've already come to do what we needed to do. Help you until Stampy recovers. You sure? The boy asked, surprised by the news, even though he should have seen it coming. Have you talked to Stampy about it? Not yet, but we're planning to, the man said. Daddy, Jimmy, and I all agree that we miss our friends at home. This place is fun, and we've had a great stay here, but, you know, I think it's about time we head off. Oh, the boy said, nodding his head. I understand. It's not like we'll be gone forever, the YouTuber clarified. We'll be open to help if you need it again, but we really miss you back home, and everything seems okay here. You still have Squid and Squishy, which I'm sure are plenty of help. I know, but it's going to be hard to see you guys go, the boy admitted. The YouTuber smiled. I'm well aware of that. That's why we're not leaving right away. I want to make sure everything is okay before we pack our bags and go. I don't want something to happen when we could have been there to stop it. I think that's going to happen no matter what, the boy said, shaking his head. Whether you stay here or go home, you have to face that not knowing whether or not something might happen if you're not there to help. That's a good point, the YouTuber nodded. But I feel you guys can handle up here. You've gotten this far, and we'll keep going, the boy nodded. There's no questioning that. That's what I like to hear. Martin mused a smile. Thanks for hearing me out. That's what I'm here for, the boy replied. I know you miss home, and no one can stop you from going, but I'm glad to know you'll be able to help if you need me. You bet, the YouTuber nodded. He looked up at to the others, who were just about finished with the build. Looks like most of the complicated stuff is just about done. That's good, the boy replied with a nod. That means you guys might be able to play one last game before you go. Smart chuckled. That sounds like fun. Yeah, the boy said with a nod. They stood there for a moment before the boy asked, You've told Dan what you're doing, right? Yeah. So the YouTuber said nervously, Should we do that? It might be good for him to know. Sam shrugged with a smile. I'm planning on talking to him later today, though. Great, then I guess I'm joining in. The YouTuber replied. Good to know. The boy nodded as he watched the others do the final touches one by one, before one by one coming down to meet them. The boy watched as the others got ready to go back to the house for the day. He looked over at Martin, who nodded. He walked over to the cat and asked him whether or not it was okay if he and Martin went to talk to Dan. Yeah, sure, the cat replied simply with a smile. I'm sure you'd be happy to hear from both of you. Sam chuckled and nodded. I've always made sure to keep in touch with him at least once a week. It's good that way. Sure isn't. I appreciate that you're doing that, the cat said. Then he looked over at Martin. Is everything all right? Well, I was planning on telling you later, the YouTuber said nervously. My friends and I were planning on go home in a few days. We really miss our friends back at home, and everything seems to be as it should be here. I hope you're okay with that. It's hard to imagine, but I understand, the cat replied. If that's what you really want to do, I can't really stop you from doing it. Thanks, Dampy, Martin said with a smile. And the boy looked over at Jimmy and Nettie, who had clearly been listening into their conversation, and both of them looked both relieved and glad. No problem, the cat said. You two better go get... You better get going, so you have time to talk to Dan. We can wait, the boy insisted. I just want to make sure everyone gets back safely. Very well, the cat nodded as he looked at the others, who seemed to be ready to head back. Let's get on with it. The boy followed his friends as they walked through town, passing a teleporter in the process. The boy didn't think much of the machine. After all, it was still uncertain whether or not it was safe to use, especially after what had happened last time it had been used. The boy didn't want something like that to happen to his friends again. It passed by several builds and games, exiting the funland in bliss silence, even though the boy knew that they would probably be back tomorrow. He always felt a little bittersweet about leaving such a fun place. He really liked hanging out in the world, since there was always something they could do here. It was worth every moment of fun and laughs. As they entered the town, heading back to the cat's house, the boy suddenly had a feeling of uneasiness. It felt as if someone was watching them. It hadn't been something he felt before, unless he'd ignored the feeling without him knowing. But the feeling only grew as the boy looked over his shoulder, looked around nervously. It didn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary, yet something didn't seem quite right. But as soon as the feeling came, it was gone. I don't hear me go. The boy wasn't sure what to think of it all.
It was something he wasn't sure if he should mention or not. It could be nothing, or their imagination, but wouldn't that be what their enemies would want them to think? Questions continued to bump and collide with each other in his mind. There didn't seem to be any end to them. Questions about what the men were up to, what was happening beyond this world, what they should be ready for. There were too many varieties that he could piece together. He wasn't sure if he should ignore them or ask them. And again, the others were probably asking very similar questions in their minds as well. There was no way of knowing what could happen, making everything seem all the more ominous. It was nerve-wracking to know that they could probably know nothing of what would happen and not be ready for it. He wanted to believe that he'd thought of everything. What if he missed something? If he had, wouldn't the men have used it to their advantage? Or were they waiting for something else completely? The boy pushed the questions out of his mind, wanting to focus on what the task was at hand. Get in touch with Dan, make sure everything was all right, and plan to make adjustments accordingly to ensure the men didn't have any chances of getting to them. That was the plan, and he wanted to stick to that. Being distracted by these unanswered questions disturbed him, and he didn't need to be distracted. Needed the distraction. They would do the best they could with this situation they were given. Is everything okay, Sam? Martin asked, walking beside the boy without the boy even realizing it. Got pretty quiet. I'm fine. Everything's fine, the boy said quickly. Martin looked at him curiously, not looking all that convinced by the boy's words. Something was wrong. Would you tell us? Of course I would, the boy reassured him. To be honest, right now, I'm not sure. Okay, the YouTuber said, nodding his head as they neared the cat's house. The boy watched as Nettie and Squishy looked around the doghouse to drop off Benton, as Squid and Jimmy went off in the opposite direction, probably to check the surroundings for any intruders of some sort. That made the boy feel a little more at ease, knowing that they were working hard to ensure that everyone was accounted for, safe. The boy watched as the cat opened the door for them, as the boy and the YouTuber walked through, thanking their friend as the cat closed the door behind them. I suppose I can find something to do while you two use the community. You two. Why did it say Tuck? Why? You too use the communicator. The cat said with a smile. You sure you don't mind? Barton asked with uncertainty. Of course I don't mind. The cat told him, even though it can be risky. It's Are you kidding? Come on. Where were we? We didn't miss anything, right? Okay. That was weird. Should be okay, though. We seem to be good. Every time I do this, what is it so mad about? Like, it doesn't like it when I'm editing stuff for some reason. So I'm just gonna go like this.